Kindness has a hidden mathematics. Every generous act leaves behind a trail patterns of movement habits. Doors you unlock without fear. Most people never realize they are teaching someone how to reach them until it's too late. In wartime Los Angeles, one young woman gave more than smiles. She gave rides. She gave money. She gave time. And unknowingly, she gave someone all the information they needed to kill her. In October 1944, a maid opened the bathroom door of a luxurious West Hollywood duplex and found a scene that would haunt the city for decades. A 20-year-old heiress, face down in a bathtub, scalding water still running, a wad of gauze forced deep into her throat, bruises covering her body, evidence of a violent struggle that neighbors had heard and ignored. Her name was Georgette Bauerdorf. She was rich, independent, admired, and she died alone, screaming for help that never came. This is the story of how wealth bought her freedom, but could not buy her safety. Georgette Bauerdorf was born in 1924 into a world cushioned by oil money. Her father, George Bauerdorf, was not Hollywood rich, he was industrial rich. His fortune drawn from Oklahoma oil fields and embedded in America's petroleum empire. This was old money, quiet money, the kind that insulated children from consequence. The Bauerdorfs lived between coasts, maintaining impressive homes in New York while keeping residences in California for business. Georgette grew up surrounded by staff, chauffeurs, private rooms, and the unspoken certainty that she would never need to work unless she chose to. She attended the Westlake School for Girls, an elite institution educating the daughters of America's professional and financial upper class. Among its alumni were future actresses and celebrities, girls groomed not just for intellect, but for polish, confidence, and access. Yet those who knew Georgette later remembered something unusual. She didn't behave like a distant debutante. She spoke easily to strangers. She listened. She smiled without calculation. Friends described her as warm, idealistic, a young woman who seemed uncomfortable with privilege that existed only for itself. She wanted purpose, not protection. Experience, not isolation. That impulse quietly pushed her toward paths most women of her social standing avoided. While the world was at war, Los Angeles became a city of uniforms. Soldiers on leave flooded dance halls, diners, and sidewalks, young men suspended between life and death, eager for music, conversation, and a reminder of home. Georgette placed herself directly among them. She took a part-time position at the Los Angeles Times, a rare choice for a woman who never needed a paycheck. The newsroom offered her a glimpse into working life structure, deadlines, and a sense of contribution beyond inherited wealth. But it was the Hollywood canteen that defined her wartime identity. Night after night, she volunteered there, serving food, dancing with servicemen, and using her own money to buy small comforts for boys who might be shipped overseas within days. She danced with everyone. Rank didn't matter. Names didn't linger. Kindness was the point. By 1944, her parents had moved back to New York. Georgette stayed. She insisted on independence, acting lessons, screen tests, late nights on the Sunset Strip. Her father's money made freedom effortless, and no one could force her into the more controlled orbit of East Coast society. But independence also meant exposure. Every smile taught someone she was approachable. Every ride taught someone she was alone. Every routine taught someone where and when she could be found. And someone was watching. Georgette's independence took physical form in her choice of home. She lived alone in a fully furnished, two-story duplex at El Palacio, a Spanish Moorish-style apartment complex in West Hollywood, built in 1931. Ornate arches, tiled staircases, wrought Montesine balconies, the kind of place that promised glamour, privacy, and sophistication just steps from the Sunset Strip. El Palacio attracted actors between contracts, aspiring actresses, junior writers, and well-paid professionals. Management valued discretion over oversight. No guards, no doorman, just the illusion of safety created by beauty and proximity to success. That illusion was dangerous. Strangers moved easily through the building, visiting friends, lovers, acquaintances. Residents learned not to interfere in what sounded like private arguments. Late-night voices were dismissed as lovers' quarrels. Screams, when they happened, were ignored. The architecture that photographed So well during the day became something else after midnight. Shadowed alcoves, winding corridors, stairwells that swallowed sound. Someone understood this. On the night Georgette died, the automatic hallway light outside her apartment had been deliberately disabled, the bulb unscrewed. The landing transformed into darkness, a perfect ambush point. Her father's oil fortune had bought elegance. It had not bought security. October 11, 1944, began like so many other nights in Georgette Bauerdorf's wartime routine. She spent the evening at the Hollywood canteen, serving food, dancing, and talking with servicemen who might soon be shipped overseas. For some of them, her smile would be their last joyful memory of America. Shortly after 11:15 p.m., she left the canteen. She told acquaintances she wasn't ready to go home yet. Instead, she went to the Hollywood Palladium, one of Los Angeles' premier dance halls. Big bands filled the floor. Soldiers and civilians moved together, rank and class temporarily erased by swing music and war-time urgency. Georgette danced until around 2 o'clock. Partnering with several servicemen in succession, carrying the same open-hearted generosity, she showed at the canteen into her private hours. Sometime after leaving the Palladium, she encountered a hitchhiking army sergeant and offered him a ride. His name was Gordonade. During the drive, she mentioned she was in a hurry. She was expecting a late-night, long-distance call from her boyfriend, an army officer stationed in Texas. She dropped the sergeant near Sunset Boulevard and drove on alone. He would be the last confirmed person to see her alive. What she didn't know was that someone else had already reached her building and was waiting in the dark. Sometime in the early hours of October 12, Georgette returned to El Palacio. The hallway outside her apartment was unlit. The automatic bulb had been unscrewed. Anyone stepping onto the landing would be blind for several seconds, long enough for someone hiding in the shadows to strike. What happened next was not quick, and it was not quiet. Neighbors later reported hearing a woman screaming words to the effect of, "Stop, stop, you're killing me." The cries echoed through thin apartment walls, loud enough to be remembered but not unusual enough, in a building accustomed to late-night arguments, to prompt action. No one called the police. No one knocked on the door. Inside the apartment, a violent struggle unfolded. Furniture was overturned. Drawers pulled open. Objects knocked to the floor. Georgette fought back fiercely. Her injuries would later prove that. The assault moved from room to room, ending in the bathroom. There, her attacker forced gauze deep into her throat, cutting off her air while holding her down. Scalding water was turned on and left running, possibly to disguise the scene as an accident, or to destroy evidence. By morning, the screams had stopped. A maid arrived later that day and noticed something strange. Georgette's front door was ajar. Water could be heard running upstairs. When the bathroom door was opened, the truth became undeniable. This was not an accident. It was murder. The autopsy erased any lingering doubt. Georgette Bauerdorf had not drowned. Her lungs showed no signs consistent with drowning. Instead, the cause of death was asphyxiation, a wad of bandage minus, like gauze forced deep into her throat. The material resembled gauze found in military medical kits, fueling speculation that her killer had access to army supplies. Bruises covered her arms, legs, and torso. The injuries told a clear story. She fought with everything she had. Her clothing was partially missing. Evidence suggested sexual assault, though wartime reporting and investigative limitations prevented definitive conclusions. What was certain was violence prolonged, intimate, and uncontrolled. Despite the chaos inside the apartment, nothing of value was taken. Jewelry, cash, and expensive belongings were left untouched. This was not a burglary. Whatever the killer wanted, it was her money. Outside, another detail emerged. Gasoline had been siphoned from Georgette's, or a chilling echo of her known habit of helping servicemen short on fuel or cash. Kindness once again appeared to have opened a door. Investigators moved quickly, but the city worked against them. Los Angeles in 1940 was swollen with transient populations, soldiers on leave, war workers, men who could vanish overnight by transferring bases or shipping overseas. Every serviceman Georgette had danced with that night was questioned. All were cleared. Fingerprints were lifted from the unscrewed light bulb, but they matched no one. In an era before computerized databases and DNA, the evidence went nowhere. As years passed, the case faded, files deteriorated, exhibits were discarded. 3 years later, another Hollywood murder, the Black Dahlia, would eclipse Georgette's story entirely. Today, Old Palacio is remembered as a charming historic building. Its balconies photographed, its arches admired. But for those who know the story, it remains a place marked by unanswered screams. Georgette Bauerdorf was not reckless. She was not naive. She was kind in a city where kindness taught the wrong person exactly how to find you alone in the dark.